Mjolnir.
¡Corre!
¡Te vengaré, padre! ¡Te salvaré, madre! ¡Te mataré, Fjolnir!
After The Witch and The Lighthouse, this is your biggest and most ambitious project so far. Bigger budget, more stars, more action. But it's, of course, still a Robert Eggers film. So you've talked about that dance with the studio to make it more accessible or commercial while maintaining your style. So I want to know, how did you manage to keep your vision against that pressure, and what was it like working in a bigger scale?
I mean, it was very pleasurable working at a larger scale, but it was harder, and it was a lot more pressure and a lot more responsibility. And during prep, I went into this knowing that I wasn't going to have final cut, right?
Yeah.
Because of the size, like they simply wouldn't be allowed. It's not my precedent. So then, during prep and creation of the film, the focus, the studio was incredibly supportive and just all about like doing it how I saw it. But then it was in post-production that the studio pressure became more intense and more hard for me personally. But I'm grateful for it because I pitched the studio that I would make the most entertaining Robert Eggers movie that I could make, and I needed their pressure to get there. Because I mean, if you've seen The Lighthouse, it's hard for me to tell a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Much less a popcorn movie. But I'm this version of the movie is the director's cut, and it's the version that I'm proud of, and the scenes that I love that needed to go to make the film better will be on the Blu-ray, but as supplements, not as like my preferred version.
I have to say, on a personal note, that I felt like the movie was maybe more accessible because of that, but I felt like it was still 100% Robert Eggers film. That's why I loved the film. So
thank you. My collaborators and I were kind of saying, how do we integrate the studio notes in a way that we're still proud of? If we're not doing that, we're not working hard enough. And it meant we had to work incredibly hard.
Yeah, well, it paid off. So The Northman is the story of Hamlet, which is a Scandinavian legend that inspired Hamlet. So I was wondering about the influences and the visual references that you used to compose the film and to make it maybe different and unique. And specifically, and this might be stupid and I might regret it, but could there be a hint of an influence from The Lion King visually? Like, because the obvious, beyond the obvious Hamlet parallels, there were some scenes that reminded me so much of that film, especially towards the end. Was that intentional?
It was not intentional, and occasionally we were like realized it, and I was like embarrassed. I mean, yeah, it does look a lot like Scar. And the final fight has some visual echoes of that fight.
Yeah,
and,
the fire.
Hey.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional. Okay, that's right. That's good to know. So let's talk about the cast. The cast is incredible. Everyone's amazing. I loved seeing Anya working with you again. Alexander is a beast. Nicole, William Klaus, everyone's great. But I want to talk specifically about Bjork because she's got a brief cameo in the film, and it's very powerful. How did you get her to come back to cinema after so much time? And I'm guessing Sion had something to do with it.
Sion's been friends with Bjork since they were teenagers, and so I think between that and some other relationships that she had with one of the co-composer and myself and my wife, she felt that it would be a familial environment, And it's only one day.
Yeah. Well, this is a Viking epic, but there are elements of horror. I mean, there are a couple of scenes which made me maybe shit my pants a little bit, especially the thing with the head. Is horror something that you're always drawn to, no matter what?
Yeah, and the I am drawn to the dark side for whatever reason. But I think I said this before in an interview. If you want to like make a film with tension, which every film needs tension, watch The Shining, whether it's a horror movie you're trying to make or not. Like, you need tension to make a good film.
Yeah. Okay, that's my time. Thank you so much for your time, Robert. It was a pleasure talking to you. Good luck with the film.
Thanks so much.
Debes elegir entre el bien para los tuyos o el odio para tus enemigos.
Tu fuerza quebranta los huesos de los hombres. Mi ingenio quebranta sus mentes.